So also a big part of understanding fungal protection is understanding your weather conditions and knowing when fungus is going to attack you the most. With us now, it's heading on into autumn now. Our temperatures are cooling down slightly. We're still relatively warm and we've still got all this rain and mist. So for us, this is one of our high peak fungal seasons. So this is when we have to be the most aware. And of course, naturally, we have to be more vigilant in our scheduling of our antifungal treatments and in the preventative techniques that we use.
Welcome to the Nature Company. This is the kind of information you're interested in. Please hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already, and that notification bell to be notified of all our upcoming content so you don't miss out on anything.
Going through the basics of the fungal protection program, we're just going to start with making sure your plant is clean. We're going to be removing any old dead leaves, any of this old debris from around the plant, the old pseudobulbs, anything that's going to hold moisture at your plant that's going to allow the fungus to take hold. So we're just going to make sure the plant is kept clean, all those old flower spikes taken off, any of the spent flowers, remove them. So we want to make sure that there's as little possible areas that fungus can really set in and then start attacking your plant. Also, we want to have our plants well separated. This is going to allow for that better air movement around it, and we would rather not having any of the leaves touch so that any insects or such walking across might be able to just spread the infection from one plant to the next. Also, it will make it better when watering that any splashes that occur when you're watering the one plant aren't going to affect the other plant. If at all possible, it's going to be best to have either slatted tables or tables with a wire mesh, something like that, that's going to allow that air movement to come up and be able to dry the base of the plant and allow for air movement to come up through the leaves so that your plant can dry off faster. When having a solid table, you can get moisture accumulation there, especially underneath your pots, and without that drying off, that is an area where your fungus can really start setting off and then from there spread up into your plant. So air movement is going to be essential for your fungal protection program. And with ensuring that you've got that good air movement, that means you're going to need to be replacing the air in your whole room or area that you're growing your orchids in constantly. They don't want to have stale air, so ensure that you've either got a window open or an extractor fan drawing that air out so that if there are any fungal spores in and around the area, they can just be drawn out instead of hanging around and slowly settling down back onto your orchid. And then when it comes to your watering, I'm afraid that old housewife's tale of watering in the morning is probably the best idea. You'd like all that excess water to evaporate off during the warmth of the day instead of having that water hanging around all night, having a wet bench that's going to probably only dry up again the next morning. With the damp coolness in the evenings, you can be almost sure that you're going to have fungal growth. So rather, water in the mornings, allow for that air movement and the warmth to evaporate all that moisture off, so you're actually protecting your orchid from any fungal infections that way too. That's not saying that the odd watering in the evenings a bad idea. It can be done, just that constant watering continually over long periods during the evenings can be very problematic. And keeping your area well sanitized, keeping your equipment sanitized, making sure you're not spreading infections from one plant to the next by your equipment itself, going through your area fairly regularly and giving it a good spray down to ensure that any fungal growth hiding in those little corners can be killed off, and that's also going to be a good way of preventing it from getting to your plants. And also by keeping that environment clean and sanitized, you're going to help avoid pests. The pests are going to cause you trouble by moving those fungal spores from one plant to the next. So even if you've quarantined a plant across the other side of the house, if you've got little ants running around, they could very well spread those spores all the way back through to your collection. So make sure you're keeping those pests to a minimum so they can't be bringing in those pesky spores into your house from outside or those areas where you've quarantined your other plants. Over and above all of that, one of your main fungal protection elements is going to be vigilance. Going around your orchids, checking, seeing if you can see any early signs. And if you are seeing those early signs, then be quick. move that off into a separate area, sanitize, quarantine, and treat, because we all know how fast fungal infections can spread. They grow faster than you can imagine and will proliferate through your whole collection before you even know it. So keep your eyes open and be vigilant. So now that we've gone through the basics, let's have a look at some of the products we can use to help in our fungal protection. First of all, we're going to try our best to do it the natural way, because we want to use as little of these chemicals as possible, because they are all very toxic. So what we're going to be doing is only using our chemicals as a last resort. We're going to be using most of the natural products as preventative measure to ensure that our orchids don't get infected in the first place. Some of them include things like cinnamon. Cinnamon is an amazing product. It's been proven to have all those antifungal and antibacterial qualities. It's an amazing desiccant that you can use on those cut edges or broken edges just to dry out the area quickly and stop any fungal penetration. There are also several natural oils that are excellent fungal protective agents, such as eucalyptus oil, which often you can get as an essential oil, but then you'll have to dilute it down. And we also have paraffinic oils. A lot of commercial producers manufacture this as a wetter and sticker agent, but they also have excellent antifungal properties. So you can use it as a preventative measure. And neem oil. Neem oil is not only used as an insecticide, but it has amazing antifungal properties. It's been used for centuries in India, and funny enough, it's only taking us in the West this long to find out how good this product actually is. And tea tree oils and tea tree hydrosols. Tea tree you've got to be a little bit more careful with. It's extremely powerful. So the hydrosols are probably better. And if you find a decent supply of a hydrosol, you can use this as a direct spray onto your orchid. But please, when using these products, ensure you stick to the manufacturer's specifications, because they are oil-based products and we don't want to be putting too much oils on our orchids all the time. And when it comes to the chemical fungicides, this we use to try and cure the fungal infections on our orchids, as opposed to being a preventative measure. But we all know prevention is better than cure. These chemical fungicides also need to be rotated. You can't be using fungicides with the same modality over and over again, because you'll land up with resistant strains of fungus, and then you'll never be able to use that fungicide again. You've got to be able to rotate them so that you can keep that fungus guessing and kill all of those with the next one that wouldn't die with the previous one. Also, stick to the mixing instructions and wear protective gear at all times in highly ventilated areas. These are toxic chemicals. When using copper-based fungicides, remember, some orchids are not as tolerant of copper as others, and it will actually kill them faster than what your fungus is going to. So be very aware of copper-based fungicides. If you need help with any specific orchid, look for that Buy Me a Coffee link down below and we'll help you out there. And thank you for watching. If you find any of this information helpful, please hit that like button. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, bing bong, to be notified of all our upcoming content so you don't miss out on a thing. Help us grow as we help your orchids grow.